You're broke. I know you are. And you just walked into a casino with your last 200 bucks thinking maybe this time you'll hit that bonus round everyone's screaming about on YouTube. You sit down at a slot machine, the one with the flashing lights, the Viking theme, the one that promises up to 50,000x your bet in giant gold letters. You spin. Nothing. Spin again. Nothing. Third spin. Dead. 40 spins later, you've burned through half your bankroll and you haven't seen a single bonus round. Not one. You're sweating now, hands shaking. You tell yourself, it's got to hit soon. It has to. But here's what you don't know. That machine you're sitting at, it's called a high volatility slot, and it was specifically designed to do exactly what it's doing to you right now. Bleeding you dry, slowly, painfully, with just enough fake hope to keep you glued to that seat. I worked in casinos for 7 years, floor supervisor. I've watched thousands of people lose everything on these machines. And you know what the worst part is? They never knew what hit them. They couldn't see the trap. But you're about to, because in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to teach you how to spot a high volatility slot from across the room before you even touch the screen, before you waste a single dollar. And if you're broke, if you've got a tight bankroll, these machines will destroy you. Avoid them like the plague. Listen, if you want the full breakdown, the stuff I can't say out loud here, hit the link in the description. But before you do that, you need to hear what I'm about to tell you, because this is the stuff they fire people for leaking. Now smash that subscribe button, drop a comment if you've been wrecked by one of these machines before. I read every single one, and trust me, you're not alone. All right, let's get into it. My name doesn't matter. What matters is this. I spent 7 years on casino floors, started as a change runner, worked my way up to floor supervisor at 2 different properties, one in Vegas, one in Atlantic City. I've seen it all. The whales dropping 50 grand in an hour, the retirees feeding their social security checks into penny slots, the tourists who flew in for a bachelor party and left in tears. And I've seen the machines. I know how they're programmed. I know what the manufacturers tell us in the back rooms. I know which ones are designed to pay out steady and which ones are designed to hunt. Because that's what high volatility slots do. They hunt. They wait. They lure you in with massive jackpot promises, and then they drain you for hours before giving you anything. And the casinos? They love these machines. They make more money per square foot than almost anything else on the floor because players don't understand what they're sitting at. They think every slot is basically the same. Just pull the lever, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. Okay, let's start with the basics. What even is volatility? Volatility is how a slot machine pays out over time. That's it. Simple. A low volatility slot pays out small wins, frequently. You might win on 3 out of every 10 spins. Nothing huge, maybe 50 cents on a dollar bet, $1.50, enough to keep you entertained, enough to make you feel like you're playing even. A high volatility slot? Opposite. It pays out rarely, but when it hits big. We're talking 100x, 500x, 1000x your bet. The kind of wins that get posted on Instagram with champagne emojis. Sounds good, right? Big wins? Who doesn't want that? Here's the problem. To get to that big win, you have to survive the drought. And the drought on a high volatility slot can last hundreds of spins, sometimes thousands. Let me put this in perspective. A low volatility slot might have an RTP, return to player, of 96%, and it'll pay that out in small chunks, predictable, steady. A high volatility slot, same RTP, 96%, but it pays 90% of that RTP to like 3% of players, the ones who hit the bonus, the ones who get the mega win. Everyone else, they're funding that jackpot. You're funding that jackpot. So how do you spot one of these vampires before you sit down? First trick, the pay table. Every slot machine has a pay table. You can pull it up by tapping a little info button, usually a question mark or an eye in the corner of the screen. Most players never look at it. Huge mistake. Here's what you're looking for. Open the pay table, scroll down to the bonus features. Now look at the top prize, the maximum win. If that top prize is more than 5,000x your bet, you're looking at a high volatility slot. Period. No exceptions. Let me give you examples. Bonanza.
Dead or Alive 2, Jammin' Jars. These are famous high-volatility slots. Pull up the pay table on any of them. The max win? 10,000x, 20,000x. Some go even higher. That's not a feature. That's a warning label. Because to offer a prize that big, the machine has to collect from hundreds of players who never come close. You think you're special? You think you're going to be the one? You're not. Statistically, you're the fuel. Second thing, hit frequency. This one's sneakier because casinos don't always publish it, but you can feel it when you play. Hit frequency is the percentage of spins that result in any win, even a tiny one, even getting your bet back. A low volatility slot might have a hit frequency of 40%. That means 4 out of every 10 spins, you win something. Keeps you engaged, keeps you happy. A high volatility slot, hit frequency might be 15%, 20% if you're lucky. That means 8 out of 10 spins, you get nothing. Just a big fat zero. Your balance drops and drops and drops. And here's the thing. When you're not winning, your brain starts doing this thing. It convinces you the machine is due, that the bonus is coming, that you just need a few more spins.
That's not strategy. That's desperation. And desperation is exactly what these machines are engineered to create. Now let me tell you the dirty shortcut. The thing I use to spot these machines from across the pit. The theme. High volatility slots have a very specific aesthetic. They're dramatic, epic, over the top. Vikings, pirates, Egyptian gods, Wild West outlaws. Anything that screams adventure or treasure hunt. Why? Because the theme sells the fantasy of the big win, the hero's journey, the idea that you're going to strike gold after battling through the wasteland. Meanwhile, low volatility slots, they're cute, they're fruity, they're simple. Starburst, Fruit Shop, games with bright colors and simple mechanics. No epic storylines, just spins and small wins. If the slot machine looks like it belongs in a Marvel movie, it's high volatility. Walk away. Here's what I need you to understand. High volatility slots aren't bad. They're not rigged in the illegal sense. The math works. Over millions of spins, they pay out their stated RTP. But you are not playing millions of spins. You're playing 200, maybe 500 if you've got a decent bankroll. And in that sample size, variance is king. You could lose everything and never see a bonus. Or you could hit on spin 12 and walk out with $4,000. It's gambling, pure gambling. Not even the fun kind where you feel like you're playing a game. It's just watching your money vanish while you pray for a miracle. And if you're broke, if you're playing with rent money or grocery money or money you need, these machines will chew you up and spit you out. I've seen it happen over and over and over. But here's where it gets even worse. Because everything I just told you, that's just the surface level. There are other tricks, features inside the games themselves that manipulate your perception, that make you think you're closer to winning than you actually are. Things the manufacturers will never admit to. Things I only learned after sitting in on game design meetings with the slot reps. And in the next part, I'm going to expose the nastiest one, the trick that even experienced players fall for, every single time. All right, you're still here. Good, because this next part is where it gets really dirty. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been spinning a slot and the reels stop like this? Bonus symbol, and then the third reel just misses? The bonus symbol lands right above or right below the pay line. You see it sitting there, mocking you, and you think, oh man, I was so close. One more symbol and I would have hit the bonus. That's called a near miss. And here's what you need to know. That wasn't close, not even a little bit. That reel was never going to land on the bonus symbol. The game already decided you lost the millisecond you hit the spin button. Everything you saw after that, pure theater. Let me explain how this actually works. Because most players think slot machines are mechanical, that the reels are spinning and randomly stopping like a roulette wheel. Wrong. Modern slot machines use something called an RNG, random number generator. It's a computer chip, and the moment you press spin, that chip generates a random number. That number corresponds to a specific reel position. The outcome is decided instantly. Everything you see after that,
The spinning reels, the dramatic slowdown, the symbols bouncing into place, that's just animation. It's a show. The machine is creating suspense for a result that already happened. So when you see that bonus symbol land just above the pay line, the game didn't almost give you the bonus. The RNG already determined you were getting nothing. The visual display just positioned the losing symbol to look close. Why? Because near misses trigger something in your brain. They activate the same reward pathways as actual wins. Your brain interprets close as progress, so you keep playing. You think you're getting warmer. You're not. You're just being manipulated. And this isn't conspiracy theory stuff. This is documented. There are academic studies on this. Researchers have put people in MRI machines while they play slots. And guess what? Near misses light up the same areas of the brain as actual wins. Your brain can't tell the difference between almost winning and actually winning, so it releases dopamine either way. You get the chemical reward without the payout. Slot manufacturers know this. They engineer near misses into the games on purpose. It's not random chance that you see 2 bonus symbols and miss the third. It happens way more often than probability would suggest. And on high volatility slots, they crank this up to 11 because they need you to keep playing through those long droughts. They need to give you just enough fake hope to keep feeding the machine. I watched players sit at these games for 6, 8, 10 hours. No bonus, just near miss after near miss after near miss. And they'd be convinced they were about to hit. It's got to be soon. Look how many times I almost got it. Meanwhile, the machine is just farming them, draining their bankroll $5 at a time while dangling a carrot that doesn't exist. But wait, it gets worse, because there's another trick, and this one is insidious. It's called an LWD, loss disguised as a win. Here's how it works. You're playing a slot with 25 pay lines. You bet $1. That's 4 cents per line. You spin, and the machine starts going crazy. Lights flashing, music playing.
Coins clinking. The screen says you win. You look at the amount. 30 cents. Wait, you bet $1. You won 30 cents. That's not a win. That's a 70-cent loss. But the machine celebrated anyway. It gave you all the audio-visual feedback of a real win. The bells, the whistles, the dopamine hit. Your brain logged it as a positive outcome, even though you lost money. And this happens constantly on modern slots, especially high volatility ones, because these games have 50 pay lines, 100 pay lines. Some have 243 ways to win. That sounds good, right? More ways to win means better odds? No. It means more opportunities for the game to give you tiny wins that don't even cover your bet, to trigger that celebration response over and over while your balance bleeds out. I've seen players sit at a machine for an hour. They're smiling, they're having fun, the machine keeps paying. They look down at their balance and they've lost $200. How? LDWs. They won on 40% of spins, but every single win was less than their bet. Their brain didn't register the losses because the machine kept celebrating. Now let's talk about bonus rounds, because this is where high volatility slots really get you. The bonus round is the whole reason people play these games. The free spins, the multipliers, the chance at that 1000x win. Every high volatility slot has some version of this, and the games make you wait for it. 100 spins, 200 spins, sometimes more. Your bankroll is circling the drain, but you keep playing because you're so close to the bonus. Here's what they don't tell you. Even when you hit the bonus round, most of the time you're still going to lose money overall. Let me say that again. You can trigger the bonus round and still end up down. Here's why. Let's say you're playing at $2 a spin. You play 200 spins before you hit the bonus. That's $400. You finally get the free spins. 10 free spins with a 3x multiplier. The music swells. You're excited. The spins play out. You win $60. You just spent $400 to win 60. You lost $340. But your brain is focusing on the 60 because the game made it feel like a big win. The animations, the sounds, the celebration. Meanwhile, you're deep in the hole. And this is by design. High volatility slots space out the bonuses so far that even when you hit one, you've usually spent way more than it pays.
The bonus isn't a reward, it's a refund, a small refund, just enough to keep you playing. Because after you hit a bonus, you think, okay, I got one, I can get another one. Maybe the next one will be bigger, and the cycle starts over. Listen, if you're getting value from this, hit that subscribe button right now. This is the stuff casinos don't want you to know, the stuff that gets people like me blacklisted from the industry. Drop a comment and tell me, what's the longest you've ever gone without hitting a bonus round? I want to know, because I guarantee someone's been through worse. And if you want the full playbook, the complete breakdown of which specific games to avoid and which ones to play if you're on a budget, check the description. I've got resources down there that go even deeper. All right, let's keep going. Next trick, bet sizing. High volatility slots are really good at manipulating how much you bet per spin. Here's how they do it. The game doesn't show you bet per spin as the default. Instead, it shows you bet per line, or coin value. So you set your coin value to $5. Seems reasonable, right? You're basically playing a nickel slot. Then you hit spin, and the game takes $5. Wait, what? Turns out the game has 100 lines, and you're betting 5 cents per line. So that nickel slot is actually a $5 slot. But the game didn't make that clear. It buried the total bet in small text at the bottom of the screen. Meanwhile, the big flashy button just says max bet or spin. And before you know it, you've gone through 50 spins at $5 a pop. That's $250 in like 8 minutes. I've watched players do this and not even realize how much they were betting until their money was gone. They thought they were being conservative. They thought they were playing small. The interface tricked them. And then there's autoplay. This might be the most dangerous feature on a high volatility slot. Autoplay lets you set the machine to spin automatically. 10 spins, 25 spins, 100 spins. You don't even have to touch the screen. Just sit back and watch. Sounds convenient, right? Here's the problem. When you're manually pressing the spin button, you have little micro moments to evaluate, to think, to ask yourself, am I still having fun? Should I stop? With autoplay, that feedback loop is gone. The spins happen fast, faster than you'd play manually, and you're not doing anything. You're just watching your balance drop. It's hypnotic. The reels blur together. You lose track of how much you've spent. And because you're not engaged, you don't feel the pain of each loss the same way.
By the time you stop the autoplay, you're down $300 and you barely remember the last 50 spins. Now let's talk about the casino's secret weapon, the slot club, the player's card, the rewards program. Every casino has one. You sign up, you get a little plastic card, you insert it into the machine while you play, and the casino gives you back a percentage of your losses as comp points. Free meals, free rooms, free play. Sounds like a good deal, right? The casino is rewarding you for playing. Here's what's actually happening. That card is tracking everything. How much you bet, how long you play, what games you prefer, how much you win and lose. And the casino uses that data to keep you playing longer. Let me give you an example. You're playing a high volatility slot. You've lost $200. You're about to get up and leave. Suddenly, a slot attendant walks over. Big smile. Hey, I see you're having a tough session. Here's $20 in free play. Enjoy. You think, wow, that's nice of him. You put the $20 in and you keep playing, and you lose another $100 before you finally walk away. That wasn't generosity. That was customer retention. The system flagged that you were about to leave. The casino gave you just enough to keep you in the seat because they know that once you start playing again, the odds are you'll lose more than they gave you. The free $20 cost them nothing. It made them $100. All right, let's name names because I know what you're thinking. This is all great info, but which games are the high volatility killers? Here's a list. If you see these games, run. Dead or Alive 2. Max win 111,000x. Hit frequency so low you could play for 3 hours and never see a bonus. Bonanza Megaways. Famous for droughts that last 200, 300 spins. The bonus can pay big, but most players never survive long enough to see it. Book of Dead. Every casino has this one. Egyptian theme. Looks fun. It's a trap. The free spins feature is brutal. You'll burn through your bankroll chasing it. Jammin' jars. Cute little jars, upbeat music. Meanwhile, it's got cluster pays and cascades that almost never line up unless you're betting big. Money Train 2. This one's notorious. Max win 50,000x, but the base game pays nothing. You're literally just feeding the machine hoping to hit the bonus cart feature. And when you do, half the time it pays less than you spent getting there. And here's the thing. These games are popular. You'll see them featured on the casino floor. Big screens, loud sounds, people crowded around them. You know why? Because the casino makes a killing off them. They're designed to extract maximum value from players who don't understand volatility. Before we wrap up this section, I need to kill one more myth, the idea of hot and cold machines. Players talk about this all the time. That machine just paid out a jackpot. It's cold now. Don't play it. Or that machine hasn't hit in hours. It's due. It's heating up. None of that is real. Slot machines don't have memory. Every spin is independent. The RNG doesn't care what happened on the last spin or the last 1,000 spins. A machine that just paid out a $10,000 jackpot has the exact same probability of paying out another jackpot on the next spin as a machine that hasn't hit in 3 months. But casinos love that players believe in hot and cold machines because it keeps them moving around the floor, chasing ghosts, trying to find the right machine. There is no right machine. There's only math. And on high volatility slots, the math is designed to take your money slowly enough that you don't notice until it's too late. Here's what nobody talks about: the emotional damage these machines cause. I've seen marriages end on the casino floor. I've seen people crying at slot machines at 3 in the morning. I've seen a guy punch a screen so hard he broke his hand. Because high volatility slots don't just take your money, they take your hope. You sit there for hours, losing, and your brain keeps telling you it's about to turn around. The bonus is coming. You just need to hold on a little longer. But it doesn't come, and eventually you've lost everything you came in with, and you feel like an idiot. You feel ashamed. You feel angry. And here's the worst part. You come back because you remember that one time 6 months ago when you hit a bonus and won $300. Your brain holds on to that memory. It blocks out the 20 other sessions where you lost everything. That's not gambling. That's addiction. And high volatility slots are engineered to create it. So now you know. You know how to spot them. You know how they manipulate you. You know which games are the worst offenders. But here's the question. If high volatility slots are this dangerous, why do people still play them? And I'm not talking about casual players. I'm talking about regulars, people who've lost thousands, people who know the math. People who've read articles like this and nodded along and then walked right back onto the casino floor and did it again. Because there's something about these machines that bypasses logic entirely. It taps into something primal, something that makes you ignore everything you know. Let me tell you what it is. It's called variable ratio reinforcement, and it's the most powerful behavioral conditioning tool ever discovered. Back in the 1950s, there was a psychologist named B.F. Skinner. He did experiments with rats and pigeons, put them in boxes with levers. When they pressed the lever, sometimes they'd get food. He tested different reinforcement schedules. Fixed ratio, press the lever 5 times, get food every time. Fixed interval, get food every 30 seconds, no matter how many times you press. The animals figured these out fast. They'd press just enough to get the reward, then they'd stop. They were efficient about it. But then Skinner tried something different. Variable ratio reinforcement. The animal presses the lever and sometimes it gets food, but it doesn't know when. Could be the second press, could be the 20th, could be the 100th. Guess what happened? The animals went insane. They pressed the lever compulsively, over and over and over. They couldn't stop, even when they weren't hungry anymore, even when they were exhausted, because their brains couldn't predict the reward, so they kept trying, desperately, obsessively. You see where I'm going with this? High volatility slots are literally Skinner boxes for humans. You press the button, sometimes you win, most of the time you don't, but you never know when the next win is coming, so you keep pressing and pressing and pressing.
This is why slot machines are more addictive than table games. At a blackjack table, you can calculate odds, you can see patterns, you have agency, you're making decisions. At a slot machine, you have zero control. You're just pressing a button and hoping. And that lack of control, combined with the unpredictability, creates a compulsion loop that's almost impossible to break. And high volatility slots crank this up to the maximum. Because the rewards are so rare and so random, your brain goes into overdrive trying to find the pattern, trying to figure out when it's going to hit. There is no pattern, but your brain doesn't believe that. It keeps searching, and while it's searching, you keep feeding the machine. Now here's where it gets even more twisted. Casinos and game designers add features that give you the illusion of control to make you feel like you're not just mindlessly pressing a button. You know those slots where you can hold certain reels, or nudge a symbol into place, or pick between different bonus options? None of that matters. The outcome is still determined by the RNG. Your choices don't change the math, but they make you feel like you're playing a game of skill, like you have some influence over the result. You don't. But that feeling of control keeps you engaged, makes you think, if I just pick the right bonus, if I just time my spin correctly, I can crack this. You can't. It's not possible. The machine is a black box. You're not playing against anything. You're just watching math happen. And then there's the sunk cost fallacy. This is the one that destroys people on high volatility slots. You've been playing for an hour. You're down $300. You haven't hit the bonus yet. Every logical part of your brain is screaming at you to stop, to walk away, to cut your losses. But you can't, because you've already invested $300. And if you leave now, all of that is gone, wasted. But if you keep playing, if you just hit the bonus once, you could win it all back, maybe even come out ahead. So you keep playing. You throw another 100 at it, then another 50. Then you're at the ATM pulling out your last 200 because you're in too deep, because you've come this far. And the bonus never comes. Or it comes and pays $80, and you realize you just lost $700 chasing a ghost. This is textbook sunk cost fallacy. You're making decisions based on what you've already lost instead of what you stand to lose next. And high volatility slots exploit this ruthlessly. Because the longer you play without hitting, the more invested you feel, the harder it is to walk away. Let me tell you something I've never told anyone publicly. I fell for this too. Yeah, me. Floor supervisor, guy who knew all the tricks, guy who watched thousands of people lose everything. It was about 4 years into my casino career. I was off shift, bored. I sat down at a Buffalo slot. High volatility, I knew it, but I figured I'll just play $50, kill some time. $50 turned into 100. 100 turned into 200. No bonus, not even close, just dead spin after dead spin. And I remember sitting there thinking, this is insane. I know how this works. I know the math. I should stop. But I couldn't because I kept seeing those 2 bonus symbols, kept almost hitting, and my brain was screaming, it's coming. It has to be coming. I ended up losing $400 that night on a game I could have explained backwards and forwards. I knew it was a trap. I walked into it anyway. That's when I realized how powerful these machines really are. They don't care if you're smart. They don't care if you understand probability. They bypass all of that and go straight for the primitive parts of your brain, the parts that can't do math, the parts that just want the shiny lights and the dopamine hit. So let's get to the big question. Can you actually win on a high volatility slot? Yes, technically, people do it every day. Someone hits the max win on Dead or Alive. Someone gets the full screen on Bonanza. It happens. But here's the thing. Those people didn't win because they're smart.
They didn't win because they had a system. They won because they got lucky. That's it. Pure random chance. And for every one person who hits, there are thousands who lost everything trying. So if you're asking me, how do I beat a high volatility slot? The answer is you don't. You can't. Not consistently. The math doesn't allow for it. But there is one way to walk away a winner, and it has nothing to do with the game itself. Here's the strategy. Are you ready? Set a budget, a small budget, money you can afford to lose, $50, $100, whatever. Walk into the casino,
Find a high volatility slot you want to try, sit down, and play only that budget, not a dollar more. If you hit the bonus in the first 20 spins and win big, cash out immediately. Don't play another spin. Take the money and leave. If you burn through your budget without hitting anything, stand up, walk away, don't chase it, don't hit the ATM, just accept the loss and go home. That's it. That's the entire strategy. You're basically buying a lottery ticket. You're giving yourself one shot at getting lucky. And if you don't get lucky, you're not throwing good money after bad. This works because it removes the sunk cost fallacy from the equation. You're not investing in the machine. You're making a one-time bet with a fixed amount. And if you win, you're taking the money and removing yourself from the variable ratio reinforcement loop. You're not giving the machine a chance to take it back. Because here's what usually happens when people win on high volatility slots. They hit a bonus, win 300 bucks, they're excited, they keep playing. Just a few more spins, I'm on a hot streak. An hour later, the 300 is gone, plus another 100 of their own money, because they stayed in the loop. The only way to beat these machines is to quit while you're ahead. And most people can't do that. Their brains won't let them. Here's the brutal truth. The casino doesn't care if you win. They don't care if you hit a jackpot. You know why? Because they know you're coming back. They know that 95% of people who win will play again, will lose it all back, will chase that high. I've seen people hit $10,000 jackpots and lose every penny of it within a week, back at the same machines, trying to hit again. Because winning doesn't cure the compulsion, it reinforces it. Your brain logs the win as proof that it's possible, that you can do it again, that you just need to keep trying. So if you hit a big win on a high volatility slot, the smartest thing you can do is never play slots again. Quit while you're ahead, for life. Most people won't do that, but that's the only way to actually come out on top. Now let me be really clear about something. If you're broke, if you've got bills to pay, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you should not be playing any slots. Not high volatility, not low volatility, none of them. Gambling is entertainment. It's not a way to make money. It's not a solution to financial problems. It's a luxury for people who have disposable income. And high volatility slots specifically, they're for people with large disposable incomes. People who can afford to lose $1,000 on entertainment without blinking. If losing $100 would hurt you, if it would mean skipping meals or missing rent, stay the hell away from high volatility slots. They will ruin you. I've seen it happen too many times. People gambling with money they need, convincing themselves they're going to win it big and solve all their problems. Instead, they dig the hole deeper. Don't be that person. Please, just don't. If you have to gamble, if you just want to play slots for fun, play low volatility games. The ones I mentioned earlier, Starburst, Fruit Shop, games with high hit frequency and small, steady wins. You're not going to get rich off them, but you'll have fun. Your money will last longer. You'll get actual gameplay instead of just watching your balance drop. Or play video poker. That's got way better odds than slots if you learn basic strategy. Or craps or baccarat. Literally anything with a lower house edge. But high volatility slots, they're only worth playing if you're treating it like buying a scratch-off ticket. One and done, with money you're prepared to lose. Alright, listen, if this video saved you money, if it opened your eyes to how these machines actually work, do me a favor. Hit subscribe, ring the bell, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and drop a comment. Tell me your worst high volatility slot story, the time you lost the most, the time you almost hit big. I want to hear it, because the more we talk about this stuff openly, the more people we can protect. There's more in the description. Resources, lists of games to avoid, strategies for responsible gambling. Check it out. Now let me wrap this up with the most important thing I can tell you. Here's what I need you to understand. Casinos are not your enemy. Slot machines are not evil. They're businesses. They exist to make money, and they make money by offering entertainment that has a mathematical edge in their favor. That's fine. That's the deal. You pay for the entertainment, the lights, the sounds, the thrill of maybe winning. But high volatility slots hide that deal. They make you think you're playing a game with a reasonable shot at winning. They dangle life-changing jackpots in front of you. They manipulate your psychology in ways that are borderline predatory, and they specifically target people who can't afford to lose, people who are desperate, people who are chasing dreams instead of playing for fun.
That's the part I have a problem with. That's why I'm making this video. You now have information that 99% of slot players don't have. You know how to spot a high volatility slot before you sit down. You know the tricks they use to keep you playing. You know why your brain betrays you. That makes you dangerous, not to the casino, but to the machine. Because you can't be manipulated if you see the manipulation coming. So the next time you walk into a casino or you open an online gambling app and you see one of those flashy, epic-looking slots promising massive jackpots, you're going to remember this video. You're going to see the pay table with the 10,000x max win. You're going to notice the low hit frequency. You're going to spot the near misses and the losses disguised as wins. And you're going to make a choice, a conscious, informed choice. Maybe you play anyway, with a small budget, with a plan to cash out if you win, treating it like the lottery ticket it is. Or maybe you walk right past it. Find a different game, one that'll actually let you have fun without draining your account in 20 minutes. Either way, you're in control now, not the machine. Look, the casinos are still going to win. They always win. That's the business model. The house always has the edge. But you don't have to make it easy for them. You don't have to be the person feeding a high volatility slot for 8 hours straight, chasing a bonus that might never come. You can be smarter than that. You are smarter than that. You just needed someone to show you what you're actually up against. So go forth. Gamble if you want. Have fun. But do it with your eyes open. Do it knowing exactly what game you're playing. And if you see someone at a dead or alive machine at 3 in the morning down to their last 20 bucks, desperately hitting spin over and over, maybe show them this video. Maybe give them the information they need to walk away, because the casinos won't, the machines won't. They'll just keep taking until there's nothing left to take. All right, that's everything. That's the full expose on high volatility slots, how to spot them, how they manipulate you, why you should avoid them if you're broke. If you got value from this, subscribe to the channel. There's more casino whistleblower content coming, the stuff they don't want you to know. The math behind the games, the psychological tricks, all of it. Comment below with your stories, your questions, the games you want me to break down next. And remember, knowledge is power, but only if you use it. Stay sharp out there, and don't let the machines win.